You know that feeling when too many things fall through the cracks? Monday.com was built for that gap. The AI work platform where people and agents work side by side to deliver more together. Create your first Monday agent today at Monday.com.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. At 3:16 in the morning on February 25th, 1942, the anti-aircraft batteries defending Los Angeles opened fire. Air raid sirens have been wailing for over an hour. The entire city was blacked out. Searchlight beams swept the darkness, converged, locked onto something over the coast, and the guns of the 37th Coast Artillery Brigade began pounding the sky. They did not stop for the better part of an hour. By dawn, they had fired more than 1,400 rounds of anti aircraft ammunition over one of the largest cities in America. Shell fragments rained down on homes and streets. Unexploded rounds punched into driveways and garages. 5 people were dead. And when the sun came up, the army went looking for what it had been shooting at. There was no wreckage. There were no bomb craters. There were no downed enemy planes because there had been no enemy planes. The Battle of Los Angeles, one of the most intense home front military engagements of the entire Second World War, had been fought from beginning to end against nothing. Our history brief today covers some recent history news. A quick word from our sponsors.
I think most people are looking for more simplicity these days. That's one reason I appreciate Azure Standard. At first, I thought it was just about groceries. Then, I discovered gardening supplies, pantry staples, household products, and so many of the other things we use every day. They've spent over 30 years delivering clean, organic groceries and earth-friendly products to families who care about what goes on their plates and into their lives. Everything they offer is rooted in real nutrition, transparency, and trust. What I like is that it encourages a different mindset. Instead of constantly running to the store, you begin thinking about your home differently. You stock your pantry, you plan family meals, maybe you plant a garden. You become a little more intentional about what you bring into your home. That's what abundance means to me. Experience new products and stock up on your favorites during this month's Waves of Abundance sales. Discover a simpler, healthier way to shop for the things that matter most at azurestandard.com. That's AZURE standard.com.
This day in history. On August 3rd, 1492, Christopher Columbus departed from Spain, beginning the voyage that would bring Europeans into sustained contact with the Americas and forever reshape world history. On August 3rd, 1936, American athlete Jesse Owens won the first of his 4 gold medals at the Berlin Olympics, delivering a stunning performance that challenged Nazi ideology on the world stage. Story of the day. So, to understand how a modern army came to fight an hour-long battle against an empty sky, we really have to understand the previous 11 weeks and what that had done to the American West Coast. Pearl Harbor was 79 days in the past. The Pacific Fleet had been shattered. The Philippines were falling. Japanese forces seemed unstoppable everywhere. And millions of Americans on the Pacific coast went to bed genuinely believing that invasion, or at least bombardment, could come any night. Then, on the evening of February 23rd, barely 30 hours before the battle, it did. A Japanese submarine, the I-17, surfaced off the coast near Santa Barbara and shelled the Elwood oil field, the first enemy bombardment of the continental United States mainland in the war. The physical damage was trivial: a pump hose, a catwalk, a few holes in the ground. The psychological damage was incalculable. The submarine struck unopposed while President Roosevelt was delivering a fireside chat and then simply slipped away. The message received up and down the coast was unmistakable. They can reach us, and nothing can stop them. And there was one more piece of context here, darker than the rest. 6 days earlier, on February 19th, Roosevelt had signed the Executive Order 9066, the order authorizing the removal and incarceration of Japanese Americans from the West Coast. The atmosphere in California in late February 1942 was not merely nervous, it was primed. On February 24th, Naval Intelligence issued a warning: an attack on Southern California could come within the next 10 hours. That evening, an alert was called and then lifted. Nerves stayed taut. Then, in the small hours of February 25th, radar picked up an unidentified contact approximately 120 miles west of Los Angeles, inbound. The air defense machine began to spin up. Batteries went to the ready. At 2:21 a.m., the region was ordered blacked out. Millions of people waking in darkness to sirens. And then, a little after 3, spotters near Santa Monica reported an object in the sky. At 3:16, the guns opened fire. What followed was a feedback loop of fear, physics, and darkness that military historians have been dissecting ever since. Searchlights converged on the sky, shells burst in the beams, and the bursts themselves, clouds of smoke lit brilliantly from below, looked to thousands of frightened observers and not a few gunners, exactly like aircraft. So the gunners fired at them, which produced more bursts, which produced more targets. The reports flooding in that night describe a raid that could not possibly have existed. Planes flying at 20,000 feet and at treetop level, formations of 1, of 9, of 25 even, objects racing at 200 miles per hour, and objects hanging nearly motionless. Every report was sincere, but every report was wrong. For almost an hour, the artillery of Los Angeles conducted a running battle with its own muzzle smoke. The guns fell silent after 4. The all clear came with the morning. The daylight accounting was grim in a way that night's comedy does not erase. Falling shell fragments and unexploded rounds had damaged buildings and vehicles across the city, and 5 people were dead. 3 in traffic accidents in the pitch black chaos of the blackout, and 2 of heart attacks brought on by the hour of bombardment. The Battle of Los Angeles had produced casualties on exactly one side. Then the government made everything worse by arguing with itself in public. Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox faced reporters and called the whole thing a false alarm, the product, in his words, of war nerves. The Army disagreed. The War Department insisted for days that as many as 15 aircraft had been over the city, floating the remarkable theory that they might have been commercial planes flown by enemy agents from secret desert airfields. The press had a carnival. Congressmen demanded answers. The Los Angeles Times published a dramatic photograph of searchlights converged on an apparent object, an image that had been heavily retouched in the darkroom, as the paper's own archives would later confirm. Nobody could agree on what had happened over Los Angeles. The only certainty was that 1,400 shells had happened to it. There was one consequence of the Phantom battle that was not funny at all, though. The panic did not dissipate into embarrassment. It actually curdled into suspicion. And the suspicion had a target, already designated by the week old Executive Order 9066. Newspapers and politicians explicitly linked the raid to fears of sabotage and signaling by Japanese Americans, for which no evidence existed then or has ever emerged since. Within weeks, the forced removals began. Over 100,000 people, most of them American citizens, were taken from their homes to incarceration camps. The imaginary battle helped fuel a very real injustice. This is the sobering heart of this entire story. Panic is never just absurd, it goes looking for someone to blame. So, what actually started this whole thing? Well, in 1983, the Office of Air Force History published its considered conclusion. The initial radar contact and sightings were most likely a stray weather balloon, of which several were actually aloft that night. And everything after that was war nerves, searchlights, and gun smoke feeding on themselves. After the war, Japan confirmed it had flown no aircraft over Los Angeles that night. The battle had only ever had one side. The History Brief. Today on some history news, we're headed to England, where a modern railway project has uncovered a tiny piece of metal that tells the story of one of Rome's most extraordinary and least remembered emperors, or perhaps, more accurately, one of Rome's greatest rebels. According to reporting from Smithsonian Magazine, archaeologists working ahead of construction on the East West Rail project discovered a rare Roman coin minted in the name of Carausius, a military commander who declared himself Emperor of Britain and Northern Gaul nearly 1700 years ago. The find offers a remarkable glimpse into one of the strangest chapters in Roman history. The discovery was made during archaeological excavations in Bedfordshire, where crews have been surveying hundreds of sites before the new railway construction begins. Alongside pottery, building remains, and evidence of Roman farming settlements, archaeologists uncovered the well preserved coin bearing the name of Carausius. So, who was Carausius? He wasn't born an emperor. He was a naval commander serving the Roman Empire in the late 3rd century. His job was to defend the English Channel from Saxon and Frankish pirates. But things took a dramatic turn. The Roman Emperor Maximian accused Carausius of allowing pirates to raid Roman territory before capturing them later, keeping the stolen treasure for himself. Whether the accusation was true remains unclear. What is clear is that Carausius learned he had been sentenced to death. Instead of surrendering, he rebelled. Around 286 CE, Carausius seized control of Roman Britain and parts of northern Gaul, proclaimed himself emperor, and established what historians sometimes call the Britannic Empire. He even minted his own coins, collected taxes, commanded an army, and ruled independently for nearly a decade. So think about how remarkable that is. For almost 10 years, Britain wasn't simply a province of Rome. It was the center of a breakaway Roman state led by a self declared emperor. Coins in the Roman world weren't just money, they were propaganda. Every emperor issued coins bearing his own portrait and titles, broadcasting his legitimacy across the empire. By minting coins with his own name, Carausius wasn't merely creating currency, he was making a bold political statement. Kind of like, I am the emperor now. Eventually, however, Rome struck back. In 293 CE, the future emperor Constantius Chlorus captured much of Carausius' territory on the continent. Soon afterward, Carausius was assassinated by one of his own officials, and within a few years, Roman forces had reclaimed Britain entirely. What's kind of cool about this single coin is that it can preserve so much history. Without coins like this, figures such as Carausius might be little more than names buried in obscure ancient texts. Instead, we can literally hold evidence of their rule in the palm of our hand. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and helping make this little show such a mighty success. If you're enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both of those links can be found on our website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. Also, I'll remind you guys to check out our YouTube channel where we have different videos and series that are not part of this main feed. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.
A burst pipe, a dead water heater, the AC calling it quits. Who do you call? HomeServe is an easy way to handle unexpected home repairs with plans covering stuff basic homeowners insurance usually won't. Instead of scrambling for a contractor, you make one call to get the repair process started. Join the millions of customers who trust HomeServe right now. Go to homeserve.com/podcast for 50% less your first year. That's homeserve.com/podcast. Savings compared to renewal price. Void in Florida.